paper.
Well, can we just get a definition from you for what fraud is?
I might claim that
I'll engage with that.
Pardon, I'm not done speaking. I might claim that this paper is fully my paper. It's fully intellectually mine.
Jeez.
Wait, and
can you just tell us what fraud? Can you just tell us what fraud means, Anne, so that we know so that we have some operating definition of what Anne thinks fraud is?
I'm not invoking the term.
Yeah. Okay. Can you tell us what fraud means to Anne?
No, I'm not invoking the term.
No, you can't tell us. So why are we talking to you if you don't even know what fraud means, Anne?
You are the person invoking the term, so it's
yeah, no. But if you don't have a working operation of what fraud even means, how are we supposed to even have this conversation with you?
I'm operating under your definition because you're the one invoking the term.
What's my definition?
That's what I'm wondering.
Yeah. What is? Well, wait. So you're sitting here having a debate about fraud with us. You won't give us a definition that you operate on. But you haven't even asked us our definition, and yet somehow you're arguing it.
Look, it seems like by saying it's fraud that you're saying.
You should never say it seems. That's really low tier debating.
Pardon?
You should never say seems.
Maybe.
Really low tier debating. You should commit to a position or not. So, Anne, can you just tell me real quick what fraud means?
Do you understand you're like a laughingstock on the internet? You know that, right?
Well, I don't care. I'm a millionaire, Anne. Go ahead. Yeah. Can you go ahead? Can you go ahead real quick?
People can't hear you when you do that.
Am I okay? So
no, you can hear him fine until you interjected with your toxic femininity.
Yeah, very toxic.
There is no such thing as toxic femininity, buddy.
Okay,
you're trying to create a terminology and you're trying to create new words that don't even fucking exist.
It does exist, but anyways,
no, it does not exist. Please give me some type of source that proves.
Let's Anne cook for 2 seconds. Wait, hold on.
Wait. At least let me finish my point. So look, we were talking about how these two women had no qualms, no objections whatsoever, engaging in a kink whereby men, oh my God, this ambulance, whereby men could be bankrupted.
Do you think that waiters think about their customers being bankrupted when they serve them food?
Wait, I'm sorry. Could you repeat that?
Waiters have a reasonable expectation that their customers aren't going to hand them thousands of dollars in their life savings.
Okay. Do you think that's a concern of waiters?
Of course not. No.
Okay, so
they're in a whole different occupation.
Why should an OF creator focus their work on whether or not their customers could get involved?
Oh, I don't know, but because they have something called morals. Like I don't know. Like what am I thinking? Do you realize
for any other position?
Yes, of course. Yes. So do you. Do you think, for instance, that it's okay for a CEO to gamble with the pension fund of their employees, even though the employee enabled them to do that by signing on a contract, right? Do you think that's okay for them to do?
Or not, no, I don't think that's okay. But
no, you don't think so? Oh, okay, great.
Pardon. Why are you interrupting?
Well, because I just wanted to yes or no.
Do you do this in real life, Andrew?
Yes, I do.
I hope you would.
Yeah, I just want to keep it on track so we can get through it fast.
I would imagine not many people would want to.
All right, I'll tell you what. Go ahead and do your incoherent rambling. We'll get right back on track. Go ahead.
What's incoherent?
Yeah, so you said yes, and I was giving you a follow-up.
Andrew, condescending people is not an inviting way to have a
yeah, dude,
I don't know what his issue is.
She's not going to sleep with you. Bro, she's not going to sleep with you. Just calm down.
I want her to sleep with me.
Look,
I know, great.
I just am trying to treat people with dignity and respect.
I know, and you can do that. You can go treat people with dignity and respect in your playhouse
over and over and over on your show.
Oh my God, stop whining, bro. Stop whining. Let us finish the exchange.
Can you
cut out, hey, Austin, cut out the toxic masculinity. Please let the woman talk, please.
Well, Andrew was the one who interrupted me first, but look, in this case, there is an instance where the employer has violated the contract that exists. So that's on,
No.
1 second, you guys. Intermission. Guys, I'm going to turn off the comments until I get to 5K likes. So
yeah, don't
give me
give
5K.
Yeah, don't give any likes. Just leave the comments off.
Like
they're gonna hold it hostage, then hold it hostage back.
Look, there's no violation.
Guys, do not listen to Andrew.
Yeah, hold it hostage back. Hold it. No. We're the content, guys. We're the content right now.
Guys,
hold the hostage back. Hold it hostage back.
We're
the content. They're not the content.
Though, Andrew.
We're the content. Yeah, I know. Well, there's always going to be 4 simps, bro. There's always going to be like 4 simps.
Get it up.
Guys, I'll turn the comments back on after 5K.
Yeah, look, there's no violation of any contract between the work that Ebony or Kumori, how do you say your name?
Kumori, yeah.
Kumori, and the types of engagements and relationships they have with their customers.
Yeah, you must have missed what I said. I said even if he did it via contract,
well,
you would still say that that's immoral.
Then, yeah, I really don't have much of an issue there. There might be some other, overriding
principle.
consideration.
Yeah, like principles. Like even if a person were to go ahead and sign something which is immoral, that there's still an obligation or a duty of the CEO to not enforce that, right? There still might be something that we can point to. We can say this
Well,
is
sure,
still
but
immoral
there's
regardless.
do you think that there's any force engaged here with the work that they do?
What's the force that he's using?
Look, the force is that he's, messing with somebody's money in
Oh, okay.
in
Well,
a
then
way
that's
that
what a FinDom does then. There you go.
no, look, he's physically engaging with the money. Look, the money that
She's
he's
physically
getting,
engaging with the
the
money
money
too. What
that
are you
is
talking about? She's
the
physically
money
engaging with it too.
the money that is being given is willingly being given.
Yeah, it was in the case of the CEO
The
too.
individual has the option to opt out at any time.
Yeah, they
And
might have
what
had the
about
option via
somebody who's
contract
drinking
to opt out at
alcohol?
any time of the pensioner too. That doesn't mean that you allow people to irresponsibly use their position of autonomy or authority over other people in order to bankrupt them. It's
If they're able
immoral,
to
right?
opt out, if they're able to opt out at any time in the case with the employer and the employee, then yeah, I think there's a responsibility on the employee to opt out.
Yeah, that's right. There's still well, hang on. There's also a responsibility on behalf of the employer. Yeah, not to like waste their pension funds or not to waste their retirement funds or
Give an
not
example
to gamble with
where-
it.
Can you give an example of where Randy or Ebony are knowing that somebody's going bankrupt and still doing
Well,
this?
hang on. The
give
employer
plenty of
doesn't. The
examples
employer doesn't
before Andrew came
necessarily
on.
know that they're going to go bankrupt. They're just
Right, but
gambling
they-
hot
they
and loose. And so what we
understand-
do is we regulate that industry. We regulate it so they can't play hot and loose with that money, and we make sure that that it's tightly regulated so that they can't do that. Can you show me where these regulations exist with the FinDom industry?
I'm not even sure what your question here is asking.
I'm asking you. I'm telling you that if you have a CEO of a Fortune 500 company and he has willing contractual participants towards a retirement account, it is heavily regulated what that organization can do with those retirement funds, even if there was a contract signed for where those retirement funds potentially could go. It's still heavily regulated. Is there any sort of regulation at all in the FinDom industry? It's the same thing where you're utilizing funds in what I would consider to be a fraudulent way.
What's fraudulent about it?
Well, so what you're doing is you're providing a fantasy, a parasocial fantasy to a person. And these people may have external expectations that they really shouldn't have. That's why we have regulations against all sorts that this person could be like, they have a parasocial relationship with them. They could think that this person is actually their girlfriend. They could think that the person is somebody who is relating to them in a way they're actually not. They're being sold a fantasy.
Pardon, do you think that most people who engage this way are, believing that these people are actually their girlfriends?
Exactly. Like,
Yeah,
that's the point that I'd made before.
Hang on. Do you think that anybody who would be engaging with the CEO would think that they didn't know where their money was going? The answer is no. That's not the reason we have the regulation.
Wait, pardon.
The regulation.
You said
the
that.
regulation
Wait,
while I answer.
No,
and then
you
you
don't
can.
get to just ramble.
Yes.
You don't.
I'm not rambling. I'm answering the question.
I know you're
Guys,
not used to
one-
letting
guys,
people.
guys,
I'm not. Well, I'm not
guys,
used to
guys,
the
guys,
over-the-top
guys,
stupidity.
Guys, please. One at a time. We're gonna start with Andrew and then Anne. Please. So that the audience can understand what you guys are saying.
Yeah. So just the idea here is that this is an industry which has no regulation around it, and it needs to have regulation around it, specifically to stop the victimization of potentially mentally ill men. It's not there. However, it's there with every other type of industry of its kind, so that we can cut down a potential fraud.
Do you think that there's regulation on how much people spend at restaurants? And what
No.
relationships they form with waiters?
No. Well, probably not on how much they spend at a
What's the
restaurant.
symmetry
No.
breaker here?
What would that have to do with anything?
What kind of regulations then do you think should be on those relationships with waiters?
What?
Well, so the the regulations which are on waiters would still have to. So there is such a thing in law, right, where there is regulation of expectation. Meaning, if you have an expectation when you do X thing, if you, like, for instance, if you go out to a dinner and you order a steak and they bring you the chicken, the expectation is that you don't have to pay for the chicken because there's a fraud which has been committed against you.
Wait, there's a violation of a contract.
So hang on. So just chill out. Let me finish explaining before
Well,
you
don't
spurg out.
shotgun points, pardon.
Okay. I'm not
Much.
No, there probably isn't. No.
Okay, why isn't there?
Well, actually, does it regulate that? Yes.
There's laws on the taxation. What other laws are
Well, that would be. Okay, I'm sorry. Is that a regulation?
Do you think that I believe that there shouldn't be any regulation?
No. Can you just tell me, is that a regulation though?
I don't give a fuck.
Yeah, I
I'm
know. So it is a
asking you,
so it is a regulation.
if the
then.
types of regulations that you're proposing for the sex work industry, sorry, I don't know if I can say the word on here,
Smex work.
sex work
Yeah.
industry, if you think that those types of regulations should be put in place in the waitressing industry.
Yeah, what regulations are you saying? It's irregular. So if it was found out that a waitress was, providing some sort of parasocial relationship via the workplace that she was in, yeah, she could be sued for fraud for sure.
What do you mean by
100%.
I don't even
Like
understand the
like
argument.
the waitress is giving an expectation that I'm your girlfriend. We're together, and the entire purpose of it was to bilk the person for money. Yeah, they could go to jail for fraud.
Once
Yes.
again, do you believe, well, look, I'll just ask for the empirics at this point. You're making an empirical claim that most of the people who purchase these services believe that these people are their girlfriends.
No, I didn't
What's
say
the
most.
empirics?
I didn't say most. I
You-
said that they're
they
selling
did,
a
that's
fantasy.
okay.
They're selling a fantasy the waitress is not selling. And so it's irregular if the waitress was selling it, and yes, could be held liable for fraud. Yes, that's
I'm
correct.
asking you, what is the argument that there's a significant amount of people who believe that these people
Why
are
does it need to be significant? Why does it need to be significant? I
Well,
don't
I
understand
would
that. Why do you
presume
keep
that you
loading
would-
it with significant?
I'm presuming that you wouldn't make laws on things that are insignificant.
Why? Why? Well, wait. I mean, a law. So, how many people do you think commit fraud?
Look, I think a lot of people
Can you
actually
answer my
commit fraud.
question? How many people do you think
Pardon?
commit commercial
Pardon?
commercial
Andrew,
fraud?
I was answering. Maybe if you shut
Yeah,
your
how
mouth
many?
and hear me.
How many?
There's probably a lot of people who commit fraud. However,
So, but
the
it's a low
amount of
percentage,
damage,
though, right?
the amount of damage done by fraud is enough to regulate it.
Yeah, but wait a second. It's a low percentage, though.
The amount of damage done by instances of fraud
Right,
is
okay,
enough
got
to
it.
regulate it, Andrew.
That's
You
right.
have
So the
an
amount of
understanding.
damage done in this industry is enough to regulate it, Anne.
What's the argument for that?
I just gave you the argument for that. You're selling a
the argument for
parasocial
that?
relationship, and you can piggyback on the parasocial relationship to bankrupt men. It's fraud.
Okay,
That's the
what is the
argument.
argument that harm is significant enough to regulate?
Well, okay, so what you're making is a fallacious argument right now. It's this particular argument that you're making, and I'll tell you how it's fallacious. You're looking for a threshold argument and saying a thing is not this thing unless you can give some proper threshold or symmetry breaker. So here, Anne,
That's
let
not
me give you an
true.
example. Yes,
That's not the
it is
argument
true.
that I'm making.
Okay, well then make the
I'm
argument
not
again
saying
about the
that
fallacy.
I'm not saying that those people are not being harmed. However, one, I'm saying that these people are not responsible for the harm that's being done, and two, that the harm caused is not significant enough to regulate.
So there we go. The significant enough. What is a significant enough harm where we can regulate it, Anne?
Look, I can't point you to that.
Right, you can't. You can't,
Pardon,
exactly.
I was speaking, Andrew. I
Yeah,
can't
you
point
were.
You
You
I can't
were
point you to
speaking.
the-
That's correct.
Pardon?
You were. Yes.
Andrew, please. We have to work on the impulse control. We have to work on the
Yeah, right.
interjection.
Yeah,
Just
so get some.
Bro needs a therapist.
No, Andrew. Andrew, please. Just let Anne talk really quickly and then you can talk.
Yeah, this guy, just shotguns points and can't let people respond. But the point here is that one, these people aren't responsible, and two, the harm that is done is not large enough to, regulate the average instance. This is the point that's going on here. You want to regulate.
Yeah. What
the
is
industry as a
it?
whole.
Well, what is that threshold for when it becomes enough?
Look,
for you to
that's like
regulate
asking
it?
me what's the threshold as to when a grain of sand becomes a heap.
Then
or
you
a pile
can't.
or
Then you
a
can't
mountain.
make the affirmative claim. There's not enough, right? But then say I can't tell you when there is enough.
No, that's actually not true. Look, there can be unclear cases like when like a grain of sand becomes a heap or a mountain. You're actually committing a fallacy by doing that. I hope you know that.
Okay? So when you're making the claim, I'm making a foul. I'm not making a positive claim. You are making
Wait,
the positive
no, you are
claim.
making a positive
The
claim.
positive claim
That's
is
a lie.
there's not a thing. It's not a thing which
There's
is
not a
isn't.
what?
That is a positive claim. This thing
There's not
is
a
not
what?
thing. Yes, you're saying this
think that that's a
thing
positive claim?
does not meet whatever arbitrary threshold you have for enough harm. Okay, great, Anne.
Why
it
does-
meets,
wait,
it
why
meets
does
it meets my arbitrary threshold though, Anne.
And what's
the
the
problem
argument
with
for
that? The same one that you're making. Whatever we feel is an arbitrary threshold, we can use it.
Well, that's not true because look, you don't regulate. I've already shown the contradiction here is that you don't
What's
want
the
to regulate.
contradiction?
Well, if you would let me talk, I could tell you, Andrew.
Go ahead.
You wouldn't regulate similar instances in other industries, but you would regulate these instances in this industry particularly.
So
That is the contradiction.
that's not. First of all, that's not a contradiction.
It is a
And second, no, it's not even a contradiction. You don't know what a contradiction is. That's one. And two, what is a contradiction, Anne?
The contradiction is that your statement is if this thing in fact causes this negative outcome, then we should regulate it. But you don't hold that consistently.
Yeah, that's not a contradiction.
That is exactly what a contradiction is.
No.
You're stating, look, the
you
proposition
can
A.
make the Yeah,
Proposition,
so
Andrew, the proposition A that we should regulate this industry, we should regulate this transaction if it causes significant amount of harm, which you believe that it does.
yeah, that's not a contradiction.
It's true.
Contradiction would be A is also not A would be a contradiction.
Yes, that's exactly what the contradiction here is.
Yeah,
Proposition
no, it's
A
not.
that we
That's
should
not.
regulate.
That's
Wait,
no. This is
proposition.
incorrect. You're
No,
incorrect. This is not a contradiction.
Look,
You could say it's
proposition.
inconsistent. You could say that you don't think it follows.
What do you think the
can make any number of
inconsistencies
different
are?
claims, but it's not a contradiction. A contradiction would be and is not and.
What do you think that? What do you think inconsistencies are?
Well, inconsistencies can just be a validity of an argument or a soundness of an argument.
Well, inconsistencies are contradictions.
No,
So here's what you're
inconsistencies
doing.
are
The
not
proposition-
contradictions, and you don't know what you're
Look,
talking about,
it
Ann.
is
An inconsistency
Trust
is
me, I
not a
guarantee you-
contradiction.
I
No,
guarantee
an
you that
inconsistency
I read
is not a
Cromwell.
okay.
Look,
Okay, I'll
I
tell you what.
guarantee
Google it. Google it right now. I'll leave the call right now if an inconsistency is a contradiction. Go ahead and Google it.
Inconsistencies and contradictions are used interchangeably to mean the same thing.
No, I want you to
Proposition-
Google
proposition-
if. Ann, can you just
Proposition
Google
A.
it?
Look, do you agree with Proposition A that if an action causes significant amount of harm, we should regulate it?
I'm sorry. Say it again.
If this transaction or if a transaction causes significant amount of harm, we should regulate it.
No, I reject the premise. Premise A.
Okay, that's your argument. You understand for the corner.
No, that was my internal critique of your argument. But that aside, Ann, can you
You
real
do
quick?
not
Can
know
you
what
just
an
show
internal
me?
critique is.
Can you just show me? Yeah, I do, Ann. And can you just show me real quick where an inconsistency means it's a contradiction? Real quick, I'll wait.
That's how
I
the
just put
term
it in
is
the
being
chat for
used
you.
here.
I just put it in
That's
the chat
not
for
how
you.
the term. That's not how the
I
term
just
is
put it in the
ever
chat
used
for you.
anywhere, Ann. You don't know what you're talking about, Ann.
Look, if the inconsistency can be explained with a symmetry breaker, then it's not a contradiction. However,
Oh, so
yours
then an
doesn't have-
inconsistency isn't a contradiction?
Do you,
Oh,
yours-
I'm shocked, Ann.
This is
I'm
going
stunned,
to
Ann. I
get.
can't
This
believe
is
it.
this is literally circular. Please.
yeah,
is
look, he doesn't
circular.
understand that what he's
I
doing.
got
Let's-
something. Hey, Andrew,
this is circular.
something.
Okay.
Oh, I'm sure you do.
I got something. So look, I'm a very I'm not going to bring up the whole MLK and Malcolm X thing just out of respect for our host here, out of respect for the host. But Andrew, my initial point. So here's the initial prompt. It was what? Why do OF girls not deserve respect or whatever? My primary argument, putting aside the findom stuff, my primary argument is a majority of OnlyFans creators. What they do is they make representations, they make claims on their OF profile stating, you are talking to me, I don't have a manager, there's no typer, there's no chatter, if you're talking to me, you're talking to me. But in reality, they are the men who are oftentimes paying money just to be chatting with these women. They are actually, the woman's lying, misrepresenting, and they're talking to a dude. And so these women are committing, whether it's civil fraud or criminal fraud or just the general definition of fraud, they are defrauding men by misrepresenting. And they're also selling the girlfriend experience. That's another thing, but my big gripe is that these women are basically defrauding men, misrepresenting the nature of the relationship, and basically saying, hey, you're talking to me, but you're not. That's fraud. Fraud does not deserve respect. And Andrew, I don't know if you have anything on that, or Ann, you have anything on that.
Okay, look, if that's not the case in the cases that Maury and Ebony are talking about that are not immoral, then is it moral to do?
Well, I'm sorry. Could you,
Well, no, that wouldn't even follow.
If they are, I'm sorry. How does a question not follow?
Yeah, well, I'm just telling you that
Does a
well,
question
actually,
not
questions
follow?
you can ask incoherent questions too, man. I don't
How
know if
does
you
a
knew that or
question
not.
not? Well, what didn't you understand about the question?
Well, I didn't understand. You said, would it be immoral or would it be moral because it's not immoral?
Are the instances which I believe to be moral that Maury and Ebony are bringing up, are those instances immoral if they don't hold the characteristics of the type of instances that whatever brought up? If they don't hold those characteristics in which somebody is lying about who's talking to them or
yeah,
what type
okay.
of-
I'll really quick. If they're so basically, you're asking if they don't commit fraud, then is it fine? Yes. But how about I ask you, one, do you think that that's fraud? And two, do you think it's wrong?
do I think it's fraud? Under what definition?
Like it could be a civil statute. It could be a criminal statute, essentially misrepresenting, stating, you are talking to me, And this would induce somebody to spend money they otherwise wouldn't if they knew that they weren't actually talking to the woman. I don't know how else to say it. They're essentially wrong.
Look, in that case, it might legally be considered fraud. Now, is it considered wrong? I'm not 100% sure on that. I'm pardon?
Like,
sorry, I need you to fix your god-awful headphones. I cannot hear a word you're saying.
Okay, so
we need you to fix your god-awful attitude. So, I mean, we all need something.
Oh my God. Okay, guys.
Yeah, I have the attitude. All right, Andy.
Yeah, so look, Anne, removing the legal component, whether there's civil or criminal liability, there is a general just definition that doesn't pertain to the justice or legal system when it comes to fraud. I think fraud is wrong. Do you concede that this would constitute fraud and that this is wrong?
Well, one, it might be wrong. I'm agnostic on that. Two, I'm not even sure it would be fraud. Let's take the case of the waiter, for example. If the waiter is artificially nice to you and doesn't actually like you as a person, but they're nice just to get tips, do you believe that that is fraud?
No, it's a regularity pattern. So
what the hell does that even mean, Andrew?
Well, so when we talk about what is fraud, things like this, it comes with a bunch of suppositions. So the supposition is that you're either paying for a service or you're entering into a service with a distinct expectation other than the one that you get. That would be fraud.
How about this?
Look,
If the server, if the server offered a Wagyu, said, hey, this steak is Wagyu, but it's actually fucking, I don't know, it's fucking mystery meat, that would be fraud.
Look, if the individual is setting up...
You're paying for a meal.
Look, if...
You're paying for a meal, not the service. You tip for the service.
Yeah, that's like an auxiliary service. But if the individual is the one setting up the type of chatbot or whatever the hell is going on there, then they in fact are putting labor into this. They are in fact in some way communicating with the person. So there might be some, arguments to be made there that this is the person you're in fact talking to, just in a different format.
What? If you are overtly, if an OnlyFans girl is overtly stating, hi, you're talking to me, there's no management company, I don't have a typer, I don't have a chatter, you're talking to me, and it's not her, how is this not fraud?
Do you believe that if I write a paper for, a college final or something, and I have ChatGPT revise it just to make sure that, I'm not overusing words or that I have proper punctuation, etc. Do you believe that I've committed fraud or plagiarism in some way?
How about you answer my question?
No, it's well, here's the thing. It just moves back to regularity. No, if there's a regularity to how these things are done, and in most cases, people utilize third-party systems in order to correct their papers, and that's within the confines of what they're allowed to do. There's no fraud. No.
Well, I'm not even sure if that's in the confines of what they're allowed to do. And if you're saying that this is not within what OF girls are allowed to do.
Well, if they're not allowed, if they weren't allowed to do it, then they got caught, then yeah, they would be perpetrating a fraud.
Wait,
they
I'm
would
asking
mark down
you
their
if
score.
I've done something. I'm asking you if under your standards, I've done something fraudulent.
You've done something fraudulent if it's against the regularity of the system, yes.
So then if it's, regular within
like when
the
you go
system
to a
of OF,
restaurant, yeah, of course. So like if you,
I was talking, in fact.
You were talking.
I was talking,
but what I'm saying to you is
talk
that
about
just
earning
like
respect.
It's just
talk
like
about treating others with respect.
Yeah, it's just like your example with the. It's the example of the waitress. It's the example of the waitress.
I don't know who this like nobody is, but he gets interrupted.
I don't know. I have the second most super chatted YouTube channel on planet Earth. How about you, Ann?
Girl, ain't nobody gives a fuck about you.
But well, look, I don't know. I mean, you seem to give a fuck. You're here.
Yeah, I'm on a TikTok panel talking to some rando. So
lucky you.
If it was regular,
you were able to talk
if it was regular and generally accepted in the OF, workplace to use chatbots or something like that, then is it fine?
No. We're talking.
I don't know.
So I was just trying to explain this to you so that you understood regularities and systems which would indicate fraud. If you go in, there's a waitress, let's say, right? You have an expectation that she could be nice to you or she could be mean to you, and you're tipping her based on whatever your perceived subjective expectation of her service is. Okay, so there's a regularity which exists in that system, so we can determine what is fraud and what is not. It would be the same thing with OF. I think distinctly people are paying for the customer experience of their chatting with a girl. And if they find out later they're not chatting with a girl, that would definitely be fraud, yes.
Wait, so then if, you were told you get one waitress for a table and then later on you find out they actually switched out your waitress, you get a different waitress. Is that considered fraud?
No,
This
of
is
course
such
not.
a terrible
Look,
argument.
there's also, I'm asking you and you didn't
Yeah,
answer the
no,
question
I
conveniently.
said no, that's not
Pardon,
thought,
because you
no.
did interrupt me.
Yeah,
If
and
it
what
was
part
a
of no don't you
regularity,
understand?
look, clearly it's enough of a regularity for you to say
Uh-huh.
that you are aware that some OF girls use chatbots instead of actually talking themselves. So it is in fact a regularity that you have recognized happens.
No, there's no reasonable expectation in that system for you to know that. What is it?
Wait,
Tell
then
me what it is.
how do you have
Question?
the expectation?
Well, you would have the expectation at dining experience they could switch the table out. That seems to be a
Answer the
reasonable
question, Andrew.
expectation. Yeah, so the expectation is that you're paying X dollars to girl. You think you're talking to girl. It's marketed as you're talking to girl.
Andrew, you're not understanding what I'm saying here. You
Well,
said
maybe
that
use really
there's
small words.
there. Yeah, sure, bud. Look, you said that in the waitressing situation, if it was in fact that I was told that I got one waitress and I got them switched out for another, that's something reasonable that you typically expect in a restaurant situation.
Yeah, it's a reasonable
Now,
expectation, correct.
Now, if you typically expect that there are quite a few OF girls who use chatbots instead of talking, themselves, then
Andrew, I
there
can.
is an expectation.
No, this is completely faulty, because if you're pointing to me and Andrew having an understanding that some women do this, this would ignore the fact that me and Andrew have spoken to hundreds of OnlyFans girls, and we've talked to their management companies. We're very much involved in these sorts of conversations. I don't think the average OnlyFans consumer, which is different from people like us who engage in these sorts of debates, has the same degree of knowledge when it comes to the capacity for women to defraud their male clientele.
Look, if you think the average person is that stupid, I need empirics on that. I need empirics that the average person who uses OF doesn't have some suspicion that these OF girls are lying to
That's
them.
what I said before.
Well,
I was
wait,
like,
wait, I
unless
just
you
wanna-
have any type of
Wait,
empirics
hang on.
that the average person
Why
has an
should we
IQ of
default?
40. Hold on,
That's
Andrew.
strange. Why would it require an IQ of 40 to be defrauded by a parasocial relationship? That's weird. And why should we default to empirics as a standard anyway?
Oh my god.
Because you're making empirical claims, Andrew.
What's the
Literally.
empirical claim?
The empirical claim is that the average OF user doesn't have the common sense to understand that these girls could reasonably be, lying
That's
to them.
not. Wait.
And then also the other claim they made.
All you need to do is show me where Ryan said the average anything. He didn't. He
That's-
said that
no,
me
wait,
and
wait,
Andrew
wait.
have
Let's
talked.
just ask him.
Hang on. Why are you cutting me off? I didn't. Do
Brian,
that to
did you in fact? Well,
So-
because look, let's just settle
so
this out. Did you in
thousands-
fact
he
say
said-
the average person?
The average person what?
That the average OF user doesn't have, the knowledge to be able to say that it's likely that these girls are lying to them about something. They could be lying about their names that they use.
I mean, it's that also coupled with the fact that majority of OF girls do not have management companies. They're not a part of agencies. They don't have enough money for chat boxes or to even much employ other people to talk to their clientele. Like
does he really
unless you
believe?
have any type of
about-
empirics for that, I just can't believe
I'm
it.
not really,
It's not a strong point.
Hold on. So let's actually look at this though. So you're saying okay, the average, there's a bunch of OF girls who make no money on OnlyFans. They make $200 a month. I would be interested in knowing, of all the money that is being spent on OnlyFans, what percentage, not breaking it down, because one OF girl can make $1 million a month, another OF girl can make $200 a month. How many of all the money that's being made on OF, how much of that money is attached to a woman who is using a typer or a chatter? And that's a much more useful metric than just because a girl who makes $1 million versus a girl who makes 200, that's not particularly helpful.
Okay, then maybe you should find the empirics on that. If you're going to make an empirical claim about the majority, look, do you think that the majority of people who watch Pornhub believe that the actor's name is something like Twinkle Stars or something?
Yeah, but
Well,
I mean,
wait, Anne, we do.
Or
until you show us
Mommy
the
Gone.
empirics. Can you show us the empirics on that, Anne?
No, I'm asking you a question about
Well, I know you're asking us a question, but we would just have to stay neutral until you showed us the empirics, though, Anne.
Oh, you're neutral on that proposition that the majority.
Until you show, until
Pardon,
you can
Andrew,
show
I
me
was talking.
you would
Pardon, I
have to
was
show me
talking.
the empirics that
Pardon,
they
pardon,
actually
I was
don't
talking.
believe that
Do
their
you
name is
understand that I didn't-
Twinkle
do you-
Fart.
Okay. Do you understand
no,
that?
I'd be.
I
okay,
asked
so,
a question,
yeah,
Brian, be quiet. Do you understand that I asked a question?
No, you be quiet, stupid lady. He was talking. Go ahead.
No, he actually wasn't.
Shut up, lady. Shut up, lady.
No,
He was talking. Go ahead.
He actually was
Yeah,
not.
stop talking,
He
Blondie.
interrupted.
Stop talking. Go ahead, Brian. Go ahead.
No need to
Oh,
get.
thank you, Andrew. Thank you, Andrew. I do appreciate it. Thank you.
You're welcome, Brian.
Wait, so yeah,
Yeah,
so,
look, he's
wait,
you know,
but
he's
I
still
don't
interrupting.
really like you. I don't really understand, Dan, what you're doing here, because you always use these like examples that don't pertain or don't even map on one-to-one to the questions that are being asked to you. So like, yes, a porn star who uses a different name, a porn star's name does not induce somebody to spend money. In fact, the opposite argument could be made. If a porn star used her real name, this would perhaps convey some sort of authenticity or genuineness that might actually help her earn more money. So I don't really understand this argument. Like, no guy is spending more or less money necessarily because of, oh, she's not using her real name. I don't understand the like fake name argument.
Do you believe that a proposition was made?
No, he wasn't responding to a proposition. He was responding to a question.
Okay, no, he said that I was making an argument.
No. So the question that you asked was, do you believe that people who have twinkle in their name, that people believe it? That was the question.
Look, they can add their, they can add like a pseudonym. They can,
Yeah, so you were wrong, and it was a question,
pardon,
not
Andrew,
a proposition.
I was talking.
You could just say that you were wrong, Anne. You could try that.
I was talking.
Yeah, you
In
were.
fact,
I know.
Look,
I know
somebody
you were.
could say that their name is like, Twinkle Stephanie or some fucking shit. And they could be totally lying about what their real name is. However, in this case, you wouldn't call that fraudulent, even though they're lying to the consumer.
It wouldn't be a sufficient enough inducement, whether that's her actual name or not her real name, to induce someone to then spend money.
You don't think that there's anyone who believes, some porn star's name is, their real name, and in fact they pay them more because it's their real name? You don't think that there's any individuals who, pay a porn star more because they have the name of like their stepsister or something?
Well, you would have to show us the empirics, Anne.
I need the empirics.
No,
on
wait,
that.
no, that's
We would need the
wait,
empirics.
this
Anne.
is what's confused here. Do you think that I asserted a proposition?
No. I'm just saying,
this is
before we
so
answer that question, we would like to see the empirics.
So you're agnostic on that proposition?
Well, I'm not sure if I'm agnostic. I would just like to see the empirics.
You're
before I
not
make
sure
a
if you're
decision.
agnostic?
Yeah.
And what
well,
would you
that's
call it?
agnostic.
Intermission, you
I'm not
guys.
even sure I'm agnostic. I'm not sure.
Intermission. Guys, get the live up to 9K. 10K.
10K.
Yeah.
Come on,
10K.
shoot for the
Yeah,
stars.
exactly.
20K.
Yeah. 10K, and then I'll turn the comments back on. Other than that, you guys have to just watch until you get
Don't do
the
it.
How about you
Don't do it.
Let me-
We're the content. We're the content. Don't do it. Don't let her hold it hostage. Don't let her hold the stream hostage. Don't let her do it.
Bro, fucking
Yeah.
Andrew. Like, do not listen to
Yeah.
Andrew, you guys. Let's get my live up to 10K.
Hey,
I'll
Anne,
turn the
how
comments
about
back
you,
on. You'll have your. I thought an intermission.
Just mute him.
Intermission. Yeah. So I'll turn the comments back on. So you guys. I'll turn the comments back on so you guys can like give your input, etc. But get the live up to 10K and I'll turn it back on. Go ahead, guys.
Wait, Anne, did you see her laugh, Anne? That's what happens when you make a joke. People laugh. That's how it works.
Do you think that was
Yeah,
rhetorical?
what would you call
Well,
it?
I mean, it must be funny. She was laughing, right?
Do you think
Toxic
that was
masculinity.
rhetorical? Do you think that made you look good, Andrew?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Okay, I hope so.
Yeah.
What would you call it when somebody claims to sell one thing and then delivers another thing? What would
Look,
you
I
call
don't. Well, we already went over this. I'm not sure if they're claiming to sell something that they're not.
What?
it? If somebody claims to sell themselves as the responder and they deliver something else, what would you call it? I'm not going to agree or disagree with you. I'm just curious, what would you
Well,
call
first
it?
of all, we already went over this. I'm agnostic on this, so that's the relevant piece of this information that you're excluding.
Oh, well, then we
Well,
can just dismiss your opinion then. Why are you
I'm
here
not-
debating? Like, why are you here debating if you're agnostic?
I'm agnostic on whether or not they're actually selling something.
What would you call it?
It
But let's
depends
say they
on-
are. It's true though. If they're saying I'm selling you access to me, responding from me, you're getting me, and they're delivering something else, what would you call it?
It depends on what they mean by me.
Oh my God. So fucking bad faith.
Anyway, so it depends on what
Wait,
they mean
Brian,
by
that
me. Is
depends on
anything
what
in-
you
By
mean.
me, they mean
Depends on what you mean.
By me, they
By
mean
me,
them.
they mean
Means that
them
person.
using a chatbot?
The person claimed to be delivering the responsive.
By mean,
No, by
well,
me
look,
it means
do you
them.
understand how when I ask, what do you mean by me? And then you answer the question, well, what I mean by me is me. Do you think that that's informative?
Okay, I will
No,
answer that.
I mean, no, I
will
said
answer that.
them.
Okay, how about Anne?
If you,
Anne, I'll give you a scenario. Okay, a woman who has an OnlyFans account. In her description, she says, and I'll explain what me is. She says, I don't have a manager. I don't have a typer. I don't have a chatbot. You are speaking to 100% me. And then when clarified in messages, a curious OnlyFans purchaser messages her and asks for clarification. And she says, hi, yes, unless you need me to define I am currently I'm talking to you. It is me, the individual, not like a chat bot. So she's clarified that. But it's not actually her.
Okay, look, if the question is she lying? Like, sure, she's lying. Is it fraudulent? I'm agnostic on that. I don't actually believe that.
Well, what is fraud, man?
Say, look, if I turned in a paper where I used ChatGPT to revise it, and let's just say I get paid for this paper, I might not include information that, I am using ChatGPT. I might claim that this paper,
can we just get a definition from you for what fraud is?
I might claim that
I'll engage with that.
Pardon, I'm not done speaking. I might claim that this paper is fully my paper. It's fully intellectually mine.
Jeez.
Wait, and
can you just tell us what fraud? Can you just tell us what fraud means, Anne, so that we know so that we have some operating definition of what Anne thinks fraud is?
I'm not invoking the term.
Yeah. Okay. Can you tell us what fraud means to Anne?
No, I'm not invoking the term.
No, you can't tell us. So why are we talking to you if you don't even know what fraud means, Anne?
You are the person invoking the term, so it's
but if you don't have a working operation of what fraud even means, how are we supposed to even have this conversation with you?
I'm operating under your definition because you're the one invoking the term.
What's my definition?
That's what I'm wondering.
Yeah, what is what? Well, wait. So you're sitting here having a debate about fraud with us. You won't give us a definition that you operate on. But you haven't even asked us our definition, and yet somehow you're arguing it.
Look, it seems like by saying it's fraud that you're saying.
You should never say it seems. That's really low tier debating.
Pardon?
You should never say seems.
Maybe,
really low tier debating. You should commit to a position or not. So, Anne, can you just tell me real quick what fraud means?
You understand you're like a laughingstock on the internet? You know that, right?
Well, I don't care. I'm a millionaire, Anne. Go ahead. Yeah, can you go ahead? Can you go ahead real quick, Anne, and tell me what fraud means?
Look, I'm assuming by you saying the word fraud that you're doing something morally wrong here.
Yeah, okay, Anne, can you tell us what
Do you want to not take a piss
means?
on live? That'd be great.
What's wrong with me taking a piss? Is that toxic masculinity?
So it's basically like a deception. The product, or said, how can you say, like in our case, like the person, right? For some type of personal gain. That's the definition. I really do not want this shit to be circular.
Sure, if it's deception.
But wait, we need Anne to either accept that definition or give us one.
But then you have to understand too.
Different words to debate over.
Okay, there were two people talking at once, but
wait.
Look, if what's implied and what's baked into the concept of fraudulent is something that is immoral, I need the argument for that.
Just start with what is fraud.
Look, if you're saying that fraud is something like somebody's lying or deceiving somebody for personal gain.
Well, no, I'm asking Anne what fraud means. What does fraud mean?
I'm not
to you,
invoking
Anne?
the term, Andrew. Do you understand how debate
works? So then for you, fraud has no meaning.
Look, if I just went around going, this thing is gloop glop, and you're like, I don't know what the fuck you mean by gloop glop.
Yeah, that's right.
And
then you would ask me for a definition, and I would need to give it to you.
I'm
right?
asking
so
you.
That makes sense.
Andrew, I'm fucking asking you if it's.
And I'm asking you. I'm fucking asking you, Anne. I'm fucking asking you. Can
Guys,
you define
TikTok
what fraud
friendly
means,
language.
Anne?
TikTok friendly language.
My bad, Queen. Look, in this case, are you baking into the definition of fraud that there's something morally wrong going on?
No, Anne, we can't proceed with the conversation unless you tell us what you think fraud means.
Look,
otherwise, I don't know what we're even discussing. Anne.
I can agree to some definition where fraud is, just lying, but I would probably bake into my definition that there's something morally wrong going on here, and I don't agree that that's the case.
Yeah. Okay. Great. Can you tell us what your definition of fraud is?
Did you not just hear it?
Yeah. Can you just tell me what your definition is? I just want to make sure I got it right.
Can you repeat?
No, I really didn't understand what your definition was.
Can you
tell me
repeat
again?
back what I said to you, just like period?
Yeah, you said that it's you were talking about like a morally loaded term here. So can you just tell me just concisely what is to Anne fraud? What does the word mean?
I'll just repeat exactly what I just said. That under my notion of fraud, it would be deception, but that deception would bake in something immorally wrong. Morally wrong.
Okay, so and what moral prism are you looking at things through?
Well, I might be some form of anti-realist. Don't take a normative view.
Wait, you're a moral anti-realist? So how could it be immoral? It's just everything that doesn't align with your preferences is immoral, Anne?
Yeah, that's how subjectivist sees it.
Okay, so as long as it doesn't align with your preferences. So here's the thing. I'm taking the exact same stance as so is Brian. It doesn't align with our preferences, therefore it's immoral, and so it's fraud.
Well, those your preferences are not my preferences.
It doesn't matter. My preferences are the only ones that matter, and just like yours,
Uh,
because we're both moral
what's
anti-realists.
the
Remember?
wait? What's the argument for that?
Well, the only thing that matters. All morality comes from my preferences, just like Anne's morality comes from Anne's preferences. So, since we don't prefer this behavior, it's immoral. So, therefore, it would be fraud by your definition. See how that works?
Do you think that the point of the debate is to convince me that your preferences are ones that I should also
No,
define?
absolutely not. My point of the debate is to convince you it's fraud, and if it's against our preferences, it clearly is. We're using the same metric you are. Same
that's
metric
not
you're
true.
using, Anne. If it's
Look-
deception plus against our preferences, it's fraud, Anne.
You are very, very confused on meta ethics, and it's
Oh
really
no!
sad.
Would you don't
Maybe you
even
should
know what
read about
meta ethics are, Anne? What does meta even mean, Anne? Tell me.
Are you actually insane? Like,
Can you tell me what meta ethics are, Anne?
yeah, meta ethics is the study of the nature of ethics and what they are, how they exist.
Okay, great. So when you give us an ethical system, what's meta about that? You're just saying that you're a moral anti-realist. You're saying that everything goes through your prism of what is preferable. Yeah?
Yes. Well, in
Yes,
some sense,
great.
yes. No, wait, no, I'm not going to let
No?
you just like manipulate the
Okay.
conversation like that.
Oh yeah, I'm
Because when we're
manipulating it by
talking about
using your
meta
own
ethics,
standard. I
when
know.
when we're talking about meta ethics, typically a realist will say that there's something mind independently wrong with this thing. Can you give me the argument that that type of thing exists?
Yeah, almost no. So when you're saying mind dependency, right? I just told you, Brian's a moral anti-realist. He doesn't believe. He believes just like you do that the prism for all morality comes from his preference. And so if we're operating off your definition of what fraud is, it's going to be somebody who is doing something deceitful plus against your preferences. That would be fraud.
Do you think that that was an argument for moral realism?
No, it would be an argument for moral anti-realism, man.
Do you understand what my question was, Andrew?
Yeah, do you understand the response to it is we're just going to use the same standard you do for what fraud is, and it's against
My
our
question
preference, so
was-
therefore bad.
My question was, what's the argument for moral realism?
Yeah, what does that have to do with anything? Are we talking about moral realism now?
Because you claim that, it doesn't, there's something wrong with anti-realism and the fact
I
that,
didn't claim anything about anything being wrong with
Pardon?
anti-realism. You just made all of that up, Ann.
do you understand what subjectivism is? Subjectivism is an anti-realist position, and you said that, if these things aren't, objectively wrong, then they can't really.
I literally didn't say any of that, Ann. You're just making it all up.
You said that if they are subjective, then they can't really be wrong.
No, Ann, you just made that up too.
Are
Gee,
you
Ann,
fucking
I wonder,
made it
can you just not follow the conversation,
Not
Ann?
the
I
real-time
didn't make
gaslighting.
I didn't make any of those claims at all. All I said to you was if it's preference is bad. If it's against my preference, it's bad. That's what Ann says. Plus, some sort of deceit would be fraud. Then it's against our preference, Ann. Therefore, it's fraud. We're operating on the same page now.
You understand that, under my moral system, I don't have a reason to accept your preferences
Wait,
unless
so Anne, you
Yeah,
have to
but then-
understand
then-
that you have to understand that Andrew was the same person that came up here and said that morality is objective.
Oh, so you did
So?
say that morality is objective.
Not
So
to
Yeah,
you,
he-
Ann. Has no bearing to this
You
argument
said
I'm having
that
with you, Ann.
morality is objective.
Has
It does,
no
in
bearing
fact,
to this
look
argument I'm having with you, Ann.
Your attempted response was to say that, because my morals are subjective, that means that you're justified in your beliefs.
Nope,
And I
never
don't
said that, Ann. You just made it up. I'm just using the same standard you are.
That
I'm
is
just
what
saying,
you keep
okay,
saying.
you're right. Me and Brian are now moral anti-realists, and it's against our preference. Therefore, it's bad. Plus, there's deceit, so it's fraud. Simple.
Do you, plus it's bad?
Yeah,
do
if
you-
it's against my preference, bad. Yes.
Do you understand that that's begging the question?
Well, wait a second, Ann. I thought that was your standard. If it's
Pardon?
against your
No,
preferences,
that's
if it's against your preferences, it's immoral, right?
Against my preferences, not yours.
Yeah. Yeah. So if it's against my preferences, it's also immoral, Ann.
Look, there is arguments that can be made against subjective views like this, where if you can find some inconsistency.
Why do I need to make an argument against it?
Do
I
you-
just hold the same view. What do you
Can
mean?
we mute this fuck? Sorry.
Can we
this
mute
guy?
you? Can we mute you?
Well, you
Guys, okay, I'm literally, I'm just gonna mute both of you guys. Guys, we do have to go one by one. Also, I am gonna do an intermission, like I always do.
Bruh.
So guys, yeah, I know, it sucks, I know. So guys, I will turn the comments back on after I'm at 15K. Light the live up.
Don't do it.
'Cause
Don't do it, guys.
This
Don't
debate,
do it.
stop it, Andrew.
maybe
This
if he
debate
says
is
the joke
pretty-
like 6 more times, it'll be funny.
I mean, it's always.
Hey,
funny,
have you
Ann.
guys debated before? Andrew, have you debated Ann before?
No, never heard of her.
No, he's
Yo,
confused.
Ann, why don't you come? Ann, Ann, we're very nice. Very good people. You should come on
look,
the podcast.
look, Brian. Wait, no, Brian, you're nice. Andrew is not. Andrew is not nice at all. So I don't know why
Wait,
you
I've been
said
nice to
fear.
you. Wait a second, Kamori.
But
I've been nice to you this whole
Andrew, I
time.
know
I've been nice to you
you've
this
been
whole
semi-nice.
time.
You've been semi-nice to me. I understand, but like from
But
my
now
observation,
now I have to be mean, I guess.
no,
I
don't
have
be
to be
mean. Don't be mean. But from my observation,
Andrew's very nice in person.
I could tell.
He'll
Well,
buy
you
you a
should take it
beer.
personal. Don't take it personal. If Andrew's being mean, don't take it personal. All right, you guys can continue the
Hey, yo,
debate.
but
I
Ann-
turned the comments back on.
Corey doesn't know Andrew. I've watched Andrew a lot before though. That man is not nice. You're lying.
No, I
Okay,
can
anyways,
tell.
whatever.
No, I'm
fine.
just saying.
Okay,
I
we're
could.
both really mean. We're both
I'm
mean.
just saying. I could tell by the presence, by the vibe. That
I don't
Andrew
know.
overall, because I mean, he has a wife
All
and
right.
kids. Like, he can't just like be a fucking hateful person with a wife and kids. Like, that's very rare. So.
Yeah, I don't know if
you have to understand that it's through supreme gaslighting and abuse that I keep all of them in compliance, right?
Yeah, we can tell.
Yeah, see.
Anyway, but yeah, guys, go ahead, continue the debate. We're at 15K likes, guys. Keep liking up the live. Give me to 20K, please, so we
I
can
don't
hear
know
this
where-
debate.
Oh, my bad. I don't know where the podcast is hosted, but if you want to DM me, yeah, we can chat about that.
Literally,
Are you
search
on
that up.
Instagram, Ann? Are you on Instagram, Ann?
Yeah, if you want to DM me on here, I can send you my info.
Yeah, can you make sure that you learn though that a consistency is not the same as contradiction, Ann? Can you just do that for me before you come
Those
out?
terms are often used interchangeably.
That's
Can I,
they're not the
Ann?
same thing though, Ann. Not the same
Do
thing.
you know how to not interrupt?
I got
Give
a
me any more,
question.
Ann.
I got a
Guys,
question. I got a
I
question.
was, in fact, mid-sentence.
Ann, I got a question. All right.
Please.
And so you brought up this whole, if I'm submitting an essay and I use ChatGPT to help write it, is that a fraud? But how about this? You offer a service to write essays for people, and in your advertisements for your service, you state, I don't use ChatGPT. I write these totally unique from my own mind. I don't use any sort of AI assistance. And this is part of your advertising material to induce somebody into purchasing your essay writing services. Now, the reality is that you actually do use ChatGPT for writing the essays. Would you consider this fraud?
Whatever. You have to thank the people that are sending you galaxies. Like, everybody. Not whatever. What's his name? Brian. You have to thank the people that are sending you galaxies and gifts.
I'm not looking. I'm sorry. This is my first time doing a live stream, so I don't
Thank
know.
them.
Thank you to whoever sent me the galaxies and the other stuff. I'll yeah. I don't know how to do this.
Yeah, my bad. I haven't been saying thank you either, but yeah, I appreciate it. It is
Guys,
money.
I don't mean to cut Ann off again, but I got to get rolling. I got dinner to eat. But thanks for having me on your panel. I appreciate it anytime.
For
All right,
sure,
I'll
for
talk to you
sure.
later, Andrew. Okay.
See you guys.
Try to be a little bit more respectful, Andrew.
Facts.
Maybe run your lives tighter. I mean, what do you want me to say?
I'm sure you're leaving, but
Nice to meet you, Andrew. See ya.
Nice to meet you too. Have a good day.